Human beings can go through some of the most devastating, traumatic, self-harming experiences ever and somehow still have this ability to heal, to rebound, to recover.
On one hand, we want it a little bit normalized, right? So that way everybody knows that it can affect you and that there's no shame or stigma in it. But really, like, we need to start speaking solutions. We have constantly highlighted the program. It's that old, proverb, like, which wolf are you going to feed? And that's where we're at right now. So we're oversaturated with death and dark and gloom. We know what the problem is, right? Addiction is debilitating. Addiction has the, opportunity for jail and death, But on the other side of that, recovery has an amazing opportunity of living your best life yet.
A big part of treatment of anybody with an addiction is coming to terms with why a person uses. And oftentimes, the underlying issue is discomfort, mental anguish, a obsession with relieving that which is uncomfortable. Treatment is about identifying new ways and new methods to deal with uncomfortable feelings. It's about exposing those feelings in a safe and supportive environment so that a person can learn new coping skills with life, so a person can sit with their discomfort in a safe place, process through it, and not have to go through the cycle again. Recovery is about breaking the cycle of addiction.
They still do this at POW meetings, ask newcomers, what age do you picture your son or daughter in your mind's eye? Not to put them down or point a finger, because it's not bad or mean or evil to see your son younger. It's just problematic, because it will influence greatly your decision making. And if you see them as 17 or under, you will feel responsible for them. And then that will be very powerful pull on your heartstrings then to help them back to the carpet bombing or the carpet helping. I will help you all the time, every time, anytime, no matter what, even though I know a part of me knows you're putting it in your veins, this drug. It tears me up to know that. So by understanding it better, we can make adjustments sooner, I hope, I believe, and I have seen.
One of the people that I heard speak once talked about what it's like to be addicted to drugs and alcohol. He said that his mother asked him, like, why can't you just stop? Like, what makes this fun? Why continue? And he said, for him, it was like, if you can imagine going into a swimming pool and holding your head underwater and fighting to breathe, like knowing that you just need to breathe to live, like no matter anything that's going on around you, all you can focus on is getting that next breath, because that's what it's going to take to survive. And like for me, that's what drugs and alcohol did. Was when I would stop using, I wanted to tear my skin from my bones. I mean, everything in my body said I need more drugs and alcohol. And it wasn't that I didn't love my friends or didn't love my family or didn't love my son, but I have to have drugs and alcohol to survive.
Obviously, drugs and alcohol lower our neurotransmitters, and we get caught into that biochemical loop of having it making us feel better and then taking it away and we feel worse and then we want more. So we get into that loop of using. Whether it's a substance or a behavior, we're in that addiction loop. And until you fix that addiction loop with nutrition and behavior modification and meditation and therapy, you'll keep looping. "90% of our genetic makeup is comprised of those
bacteria. So 90% of who we are is made up by the bacteria that helps us function. We also learned that a great deal of the chemicals in our brain that we use to function and feel good, like serotonin and dopamine, are actually formed in the gut, not the brain. So we're treating the brain with medications, trying to increase mood, stabilize mood, decrease anxiety, and it's actually being formed in the gut. 90% of our serotonin is formed in our digestive system. 50% of our dopamine is formed in our digestive system. And then that travels through the vagus nerve up to our brain.
I remember when we went on a road trip to see family, on the way back, my dad wanted to stop and have us get hot dogs, but hot dogs scared me at the time, and so I was literally in tears, crying because I didn't want to eat this hot dog, and he was yelling at me about why I wouldn't eat the hot dog, and I just remember not understanding why he didn't understand that I just wanted him to love me. Like, it was like, you're not gonna love me if I don't eat the hot dog, and you're not gonna love me if I do. So it was like I couldn't win, and it was just this constant game in my head, and just this huge source of anxiety.
A lot of times with trauma, what can happen is your brain will move into a maladaptive state, and then sometimes it gets locked there. Right? And so really what we're looking for is to try to give enough of a frequency to kind of break those maladaptive patterns or those maladaptive associations and allow the brain to shift back to a normal state.
If somebody is dealing with anxiety, like I said, a lot of times it has to do with the future, the what if. What is this going to be like? And it creates fear, it creates anxiety, obviously stress, that kind of thing. And the more you think about that in the future and the what if, the more it creates. And so to use the idea of staying in the present moment, in the right now, I'm okay right now. I'm feeling anxious, and that's okay. All emotions are okay. We're supposed to have emotions. They're organic, if you will, and what we've learned, most of us, growing up as young kids, you're not supposed to have certain emotions. You're not supposed to be mad. You're not supposed to be sad. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. And so what we learn is it's not okay. So I'm going to make sure that I know that it's not okay. I'm going to judge them. I'm going to judge them as bad emotions. And then I'm going to avoid them. And that creates more suffering in all the areas of our life. And so using the idea of not judging our emotions and getting to a place where they're just emotions. I'm supposed to have these emotions. They help me survive.
Even with our clients that might be coming out for equine psychotherapy, I know in my mind that there's probably a lot of stabilization that needs to take place and a lot of resources that they could use for tools. In the EMDR world, that's considered phase 2 of EMDR, which is all resourcing, all stabilization skills. So for example, right now, looking at Butterscotch, I would say that he's in a pretty darn calm state, right? And his calm state right now is really very clear, and I'm really picking it up, right? I notice he's being calm because he's allowing me to cuddle with him. He's alert, he's looking around a bit, but I heard him blow a couple times and relax, and he's licking and chewing. I can see his little leg is kind of propped like this, right? So I'm noticing the calm state within Butterscotch, and as I'm doing that, I'm starting to notice the calm state within myself. So I'm starting to feel relaxation in my shoulders and in my hips. And so I'm able to create this resource as a calm state that I could use throughout the day. And that's pretty similar to what we do with our clients. We can create a calm state with Butterscotch that they could use for when things become overwhelming, and it can help them with self-soothing.
What clients tend to do is judge what the horses are doing. They'll say, oh, that horse is mad at that other horse because he's biting it, or that horse looks happy because he's running around. And what we challenge clients to do, and what I challenge myself even in my own life, is to simply observe without judgment in that, how do we know that horse is angry? Or how would we know we're not speaking to it? It's not communicating with us. Actually, horses clean each other a lot, which can look like biting. So simply observing behaviors, you can take this out into your everyday life of simply observing without judging, of noticing your surroundings, and it brings you into the present moment.
Well, what happened when I was inpatient, they made you do yoga, right? Like every day pretty much. And it seemed confusing to me at first, but what I loved was that feeling I got at the end. And so that like peace, that calm, that clarity, serenity, all the things I never had in life, even before I started picking up and using. And it's my belief that that's one of the things that I sought through chemicals and substances was to relax, to calm down, to relieve some of the anxiety, the stress, the fear.
If the belief is that the problem is purely a biochemical problem in the brain, then why would anyone take any actions to change? What dual diagnosis is pretty simple. It's when someone has both a mental illness and a substance use disorder. Doesn't matter which came first. The implications of dual diagnosis, though, can make things unclear. Often drug use without knowing drugs are being used will look like a lot of psychiatric diagnoses, and it can be almost impossible for an evaluator to tell the difference if they don't know the whole picture. And unfortunately with drug use, people often hide that part of the picture.
It's just heartbreaking because I just wish that there was a fix for all of it. I just wish that this didn't exist. There's definitely hope for anyone with an eating disorder. Most of the people I love the most in my life have gone through the same thing, and we're warriors, we're so strong, and we come out on the other end, and you have to go through a lot of uncomfortability. You have to go through anxiety. You have to go through periods of not, trusting yourself, hating yourself, but you also have to realize that you're worth it and that you can live a better life, and it's so much better on this side.
Your nature is to live. Your nature is to thrive and survive. If you currently believe in God or a higher power, you know the scriptures. You're made in the image and likeness of God. This omnipotent, omnipotent, ever potent potential. You're ever full of potential. So no matter how low you're at, no matter how defeated, debilitated, knocked down, paralyzed you are, you have potential to move forward out of that. You always do. There's nothing that can knock you down and hold you down forever. If you're breathing right now, you got the potential to move forward out of this.